right, well, welcome everybody. We will, oh yeah, Lisa's online. We will go ahead and I'll call the meeting to order. First, we'll have an invocation which we observe by a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Agent,
Here.
Halliburton,
Here.
Haney Keith,
Here.
Ash,
Here.
Willetts,
Here.
Whittings. Here. All present.
Well, thanks. I'm going to take just a point of personal privilege before we move into the business of approving minutes. As you all know, today is Council President's last council meeting before the recess. You're not resigning this evening, but it is your last council meeting. And so to mark that, I just wanted to say thank you for all the service that you have provided our city, both as a member of the city council, but even so far beyond that, from your time on the neighborhood boards, to working for schools, to being a coach, a sports coach, and a Girl Scout troop leader, and everything else. You've really left a mark, and we're going to miss you. And to celebrate and to mark this day as your last day, I have a proclamation that says today is Holly Whitting's Day,
Gosh.
which I would really like to read and then to present to you as a thank you. Whereas Holly Whittings has served the city of Boise as a city council member since 2018. And whereas Council President Whittings worked with the Boise Parks and Rec Department and the West Ada School District to bring after-school programming to kids in grades 1 through 5 in West Boise, thus expanding our school program, after-school program citywide. And whereas Council President Whittings served as the city council liaison for Boise Fire Department, the Harris Ranch Community Infrastructure District, Compass, the Boise City Ada County Housing Authority, so many, Holly, and the Downtown Boise Association. And whereas Council President Whittings worked diligently to ensure that Boise remains an affordable, livable, and resilient place to live, work, and raise a family by protecting and expanding open spaces, investing in a diversity of housing types, and modernizing our zoning code to foster our community's vision as laid out in Blueprint Boise. And whereas Council President Whittings champions small businesses in a vibrant, thriving downtown, and has served the residents of Boise with dignity, diligence, and enthusiasm. And the staff, residents, and council members of the city of Boise appreciate her service and wish Holly and her family well in their future endeavors. I do hereby proclaim July 18th, 2023 as Holly Whitting's Day in the city of Boise. This.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, is this the appropriate time for council members to make some comments?
Yeah, I think this is the best time to do that.
All right, I'll kick it off. I'm sure other people will have other things to say. Trying to figure out what I was going to say today, I was thinking back about some of your major accomplishments, many of them that were highlighted in the proclamation, and your support for small businesses, childcare, early childhood education. There was a pretty long list to go through. And I sort of settled on something that I realized that I hadn't thanked you for yet, and I think is really important to do. You served in a position of leadership on city council during the pandemic, the most challenging time I can imagine to be a leader. And with new city council members, me being one of them, council member Bajent being another. And that's a really huge deal. And I don't think that I've thanked you for it specifically before, but it was a big deal to me as a council member. It's a huge deal for our city. You got us through a really, really challenging time. And I think that, of all the things that you accomplished, that should definitely be one of the ones that you keep in mind as far as the difference that you made in the city and going forward. The zoning code rewrite certainly being another one. But it's hard to know what it's like to be in a position of leadership during those challenging times. and you did it well. And I really, really appreciate it. My commitment to you going forward is to be in that position of leadership during those challenging times and to try to have the same amount of grace that you did in it as well, to continue that support for our small business community, for our thriving downtown area, and certainly your support for our young children in the community. I know that's a huge passion of yours, and I promise to keep that work going forward. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the first time I actually really met Holly was during my campaign when I called her really looking for an endorsement, which she refused to give me, as she refused to give everyone in my race. But she said, I'll meet with you and I'll answer any question. And I met with Holly half a dozen times for hours, and she answered every stupid question that I had patiently and nicely. And she helped me really understand how to be a city council person, what we're doing in the city. And that was, a nice thing to do. We think about it, it's a really generous thing to do, because she was on the city council. She was either in or preparing for graduate school. She was a busy person, and she sat down and invested in a candidate who had questions without promising to help or support him in any way, just to help further the politics of our city. And it was such a generous, behind the scenes, selfless thing to do that I feel really lucky to have then gotten to serve with Holly, because she has been that way the entire 3.5 years that I've been on the council with her. The pandemic is such a good example from Councilmember Halliburton. That was a strange and difficult time where Holly answered the phone every time, patiently answered every confusing question that I had, kept the boat moving down the stream and off the rocks for some really trying and challenging months. The other thing that I want to highlight and flag is, well, Holly is amazing and this is all very difficult. It's required, I'm sure, a lot of energy and support from Ryan and Mary and Arthur. And a lot of that doesn't get seen very well. I'm sure all of you have sat and gotten mad about things that are wrong on the internet, or rejiggered your schedules to make yourselves available to cover things while Holly's here working. But it's just as much, Holly's success is just as much a testament to the energy and effort that the three of you put into making that possible. So we're very grateful to you as well.
Madam Mayor, I just want to say, Holly, thank you for welcoming me to City Council and for joining me on CCDC. You will very much be missed, but I wanted to say that I have seen you always be such a role model, your grace and your poise in all issues. And I think, as council members before me have mentioned, especially during the pandemic, I think it's been very critical, but it's a testament to your just leadership that we will sorely miss here in the city. And that I certainly hope that I have the ability to be able to be in your shoes someday, to be such a graceful leader. It's you're a role model to me, and I really appreciate all that you've done for the city and for me personally.
Madam Mayor, Holly, you're just going to be missed, and you've been such a mainstay, not only in city politics, but in Idaho politics for the last decade. And I'm going to miss not seeing you here, not seeing you at the legislature, not bumping into Ryan at political events. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work you did that laid the groundwork for the actions that we took this year, and for all your time on city council. So thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you, Holly. I know that people have said such lovely and true things about you. I just want to echo my personal thanks to you. I had a very similar experience with Patrick, both as I was, getting up to speed about city issues, but also having the pleasure of working with you at the legislature. And I remember coming to you with a bill that had been assigned to you, and you were so eager to help and answer all the questions and just make sure that we had everything that we needed to do what we were going to do for educators on that bill. And I remember thinking, this is the kind of legislator that I want to work with over and over and over again. And at that time, I never knew that I would have the opportunity to get to work with you as a colleague and get a front row seat to all your goodness and grace. So we're going to miss you here in Boise, but I know that wherever you go, you're going to do great things, and your family's going to be right by your side, which is the best part about it.
Well, thank you. It seems like people don't get to hear this many nice things said about them until after they die. So I feel I feel very lucky to be here with all of you. And I mean, your words are just so kind and very thoughtful. And I appreciate every single one of you. So I've made a few notes about every single one of you as well. And it's been such an honor and a privilege. And I want to thank my family for their support because it is a privilege to be up at this dais, especially when you have a young family, because I really genuinely believe it's nearly impossible to have a full-time job, have young children, and have public service. I always say you can pick two of those, but it's really hard to do all three at once. So I'm really lucky that I've only had to do two of those. And so I want to thank Madam Mayor for serving through some very trying times alongside me, including the pandemic, including a huge shift in mayoral administration, including redoing a zoning code that I think is going to be one of the major accomplishments of both of our careers. It's pretty tremendous. And Councilmember Bajent, who always asks fantastic questions that I would have never thought of, and they're always so insightful. Councilmember Willits for her unbending optimism and really being a voice of the people and really listening to folks when they come in front of us. Councilmember Nash for making me always think about the process. It's been a real gift to have him here and really pushing me on to think through things and make some decisions. And I've really appreciated it. I think he's made things a lot better. Councilmember Haney Keith for your thoughtfulness and experience. And I very much think that you are also a wonderful, poised leader already as the leader of CCDC. And Council Pro Tem Halliburton for his thoughtful, studious approach to every issue, always doing his homework and always showing up prepared for every conversation. I really appreciate it. And then I wanted to just say a couple of things about people I've been lucky to serve alongside in my time here, who are not here tonight, but Elaine Clegg, TJ Thompson, Scott Ludwig, Lisa Sanchez, and then our former mayor, Dave Beater. They've all been tremendous public servants, really helped our city grow and thrive. And we have so much to thank every single one of them for. So I think that's all I have to say. I also had a list of issues I've been lucky to work on. I think we all know what those are, but it's just been such a tremendous honor to be here, to serve alongside all of you. And I really appreciate your unending support. I look forward to welcoming you in our new home of DC. So if you're ever there, please reach out and I would love to show you our new home. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. All right, and it's always weird then to just move into regular business, but that's what we're doing. So we're going to take the request for approval of the minutes from our work session and evening meeting on July 11th.
Madam Mayor, before we do that, I just want to make a motion for the consent agenda, just so that I don't forget when we actually move on to the consent agenda. And that's that I move that RES 343-23 be removed from the consent agenda to allow staff to make changes before it's brought back for approval.
Okay.
Second.
A motion, a second. Clerk?
Woodings,
Yes.
Agent,
Yes.
Halliburton.
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Ash,
Yes.
Willits,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
And now, Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the city council minutes from the work session and regular evening meeting of July 11th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Clerk?
Woodings,
Yes.
Agent,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Ash,
Yes.
Willits,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. And now we have some special business. First, the election of our council president.
Madam Mayor, I nominate Council Pro Tem Jimmy Halliburton to be council president.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion.
Madam Mayor, it's slightly awkward to be up here as council president, nominating a new council president. But I'm happy to do it. I mean, Jimmy has really shown his mettle in being an excellent council member, always thoughtful, always prepared, always with great questions, and always without an ounce of ego, willing to learn and willing to change his mind. So it's definitely my pleasure and privilege to see him move into this role of council leadership.
All right, clerk, will you call the roll?
Whittings,
Yes.
Bajent,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Ash,
Yes.
Willetts.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. I might save a couple comments till after our next nomination.
And then, so the election of our pro tem.
Madam Mayor, I nominate Patrick Bajent to be council president pro tem.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion.
Madam Mayor, I've very much enjoyed working alongside Councilmember Bajent. Always great questions, always very prepared, really insightful and really thoughtful. And I will say, always willing to talk it out, which is great, and change his mind, and sometimes challenge me to change my mind as well. And I've always appreciated that. Thank you so much.
All right, clerk, will you call the roll?
Whittings,
Yes.
Bajent,
Yes.
Halliburton.
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Ash,
Yes.
Willetts.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
What would you do if I voted no?
You'd be outvoted.
Madam Mayor, if I could just make a comment or a couple of them. One, I really appreciate the nomination. I appreciate everybody's vote of confidence as well. I'm not sure if I ever envisioned myself being the council president in my first term, and I certainly didn't envision it happening this way, but I appreciate the responsibility. And I know that it's a big responsibility and there's big shoes to fill. When I first took office, we had a chance to talk about some of our priorities. And one of the priorities was to be a good teammate. It'll always be, one of my main priorities while I'm here on council. And that's one of the things I'm committed to doing for the rest of our council members during this time I'm serving as president. I would ask that you help me be a good team member as well. Certainly this is, again, a really big responsibility, and I appreciate everybody's help in making sure that we do the best that we can up here. One commitment that I forgot to make to you, Council President Woodings, was to make sure that I continue to explore ways to improve process for our council specifically, and try to find ways to make sure that what we do up here is equitable. We've got good systems that are in place. And when a system isn't working, that we take the time and take the steps to improve those systems. That's something that I know that you're passionate about as well. And I'm committed to continuing that. And Councilmember Bajent, frankly, I can't imagine doing this right now with anybody else than you in the role. I think it's going to be really, really fun to do this with you. I love serving on council with you because you and I have different opinions a lot of different times. But I learn from you every single time we have those differences of opinion. Sometimes I change my mind. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes you change your mind. Sometimes you don't. And I think that that's a really, really great process. And so I'm excited for the next few months to serve alongside you in this leadership role. Congratulations.
Well, really great people, really good things to come. I'm going to try not to screw it up, and I'll try to be as helpful to you as I can, Jimmy, and to the rest of you as well. So.
Well, congratulations to you both, and thank you for your service. So now we've got some appointments. We've got Brian Walker to the Parks Board, the Parks and Recreation Commission for a 3-year term ending July 31st, 2026. We have Brian with us. Great, thanks.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I ask unanimous consent for the appointment of Brian Walker to the Boise Parks and Rec Commission for a 3-year term.
Without objection. Brian, thank you so much for your service. You are official now. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. You're welcome to say anything you'd like if you so choose. No pressure, but there's a mic here if you'd like it. And then when you're always welcome just to leave when you're done.
Okay.
You're welcome to stay with us, but I don't want you to feel badly if you decide to leave.
Council members and Madam Mayor, I just want you to know I'm super excited to serve on this commission. I'm a longstanding Boise resident, spent 27 years in education in the Boise School District and have had the opportunity to work closely with the city in my prior role as an area director in the Boise School District, and I'm moving into a director of activities and athletics in the district, and I can't wait to work with the city in that area. So thank you for the opportunity.
I will thank you. It's great to have you as the school representative on Parks Board, a great partnership with your
Yep.
new position.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, and now we've got Ron Pizaneski.
Madam Mayor, I ask unanimous consent for the appointment of Ron Pizaneski to the Library Board of Trustees for a 5-year term ending July 2028.
Without objection. Ron, congratulations, and thank you for your willingness to serve. Come on up if you'd like. Of course. No, it's wonderful to have you and really appreciate your interest in serving on this commission. And it's happy to hear what you have to say.
Madam President, Madam Mayor, members of the committee or the commission, thank you for the honor of selecting me to serve on the Boise Public Library Board of Directors. I believe strongly that Boise Public Library is an absolute treasure for the people of Idaho and people of our community. I hope to bring the experience I've gained from more than 35 years at Idaho Public Television, as well as having served on numerous nonprofit and government boards to my role on the Boise Public Library Board. I know the Boise Public Library has a wonderful future ahead of it, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to help Director Jessica Doerr, the staff, and my fellow board members achieve our goals. Again, thank you for this honor, and I look forward to the work ahead.
Thank you so much, Ron. And next up, we have Reshma Kamal.
Madam Mayor, I ask unanimous consent for the appointment of Reshma Kamal to the Library Board of Trustees for a 1-year term ending July 2024.
Without objection. Well, Reshma, you're official now too. Congratulations and thank you so much. If you'd like to come up, all right. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. It's an honor to serve my city that I live in. And this one I owe to my husband. He's not here today, but he was the one who motivated me to apply for this and serve the city. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your service.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I was going to save my comments to the end for all those three, and then Brian just booked it out of here.
He took me
your
up on my
advice to
offer.
heart, and he was gone by the time that it was done. These positions are so important to the city. They're volunteer positions, but they're big commitments, and they really make big decisions, and they help our council make big decisions as well. And so I just want to relay how much I appreciate the commitment, how big of a difference it really does make for the city, and how important that volunteer and board member and commission role is. It really has shaped some of the best things that's happened at the city. I'm excited to see what you two here that are here, and then Brian that's gone, the way that you all can contribute to our future here. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I just want to add for the members of the library board in particular, we've been talking a ton about facilities, and the library board of trustees will be undertaking a facilities plan in the coming year that's going to help shape our libraries for decades. It's really important work. It's great work. I hope that you all enjoy it very much. And just thank you for your dedication to building that system to serve our residents now and serve our residents well into the future. It's a lot to be proud of.
Well, thank you very much. And also please feel free to duck out when you're ready. And next up, we have a reconsideration request of CPA 23-1 and ZOA 23-1. And this will be presented by Tim Keene.
Mayor, members of council, Tim Keene, Director of Planning and Development Services for the city of Boise. I'll just go through a few slides here that explain what's before you. The request for reconsideration has to do with these two items here. The first is the repeal and replacement of Chapter 11 of the city's code, which is our zoning ordinance. And the second action is changes to our comprehensive plan to bring them into alignment with that new code. Those are the two actions that we now have someone seeking reconsideration of. A little bit of history on this. We released the new zoning ordinance, both the new Chapter 11, the new zoning ordinance for the city, as well as those amendments to the comprehensive plan on February 27th of this year. On April 27th, the Planning and Zoning Commission, after a long week of public hearings, unanimously recommended approval of both these items, the new zoning ordinance, Chapter 11, and the comprehensive plan changes. Then City Council, of course, on June 15th of this year, also after a week of public hearing testimony, voted unanimously in favor of those two proposals as well, Chapter 11, the new Chapter 11, as well as the comprehensive plan changes. We did receive a request for reconsideration on June 28th, stating concerns about noticing requirements associated with the zoning ordinance amendment and comp plan change, characterizing the approval, the repeal and replacement of the zoning ordinance specifically as a rezone, and arguing that site-specific notice requirements would have had to have been adhered to in association with that. I'm here to tell you that the approved zoning ordinance amendment was not a rezoning. It was a citywide legislative act to repealing and replacing our development code, as I said. This is a procedure that's authorized under Idaho code, and the noticing requirements and procedures associated with that have to do with amendment, repeal, and replacement of an adoption of the new zoning ordinance. Those procedures, as set forth in Idaho code, do not require site-specific notice. Both the Idaho code and the city code have alternative notice requirements in association with cases where it involves more than 200 properties or 200 recipients of notice. And we've met the standards, and we're very particular to meet the procedural requirements of that code requirement in this entire process since we began early this year. The public noticing that was provided, I'm not going to go through each of these, but there was a lot of notice associated with all these actions, both the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council, which include, of course, publications in the paper of record, the Idaho Statesman, notices posted around the city, notices to neighborhood associations, that is physical postings around the city, notices, mailed notices to neighborhood associations, mailer inserts and utility billings for the month of February, March, and April, educational materials that were sent to and provided at the public libraries in the city. So that's among the things that was done over this period of time. And those are among the things that are provided for through code as to procedures that must be followed in cases like this, where you're repealing and replacing an entire zoning ordinance and it's not a site-specific rezone. In addition to those efforts this year around noticing related to the planning and zoning and city council actions, we also had, of course, in lead up to the ordinance that was released in February, a series of public conversations that went on over a period of years and involved a steering committee of residents of the city who deliberated 23 times and made recommendations, 29 community conversations, lots of stakeholder meetings, many chances for people to be involved before the ordinance was released in February. We do have this section that provides for request for reconsideration, however. If in fact we find that there's good cause, which would be that the party requesting reconsideration has relevant information, the relevant information was not brought up at previous hearing, and the information was not previously available, the city of Boise processed the applications for a new zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan amendments in accordance with the requirements of Idaho Code and the city of Boise Code. And our recommendation is that the submitted request for reconsideration does not show an error in our application of the procedures and requirements related to these hearings and these actions of the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as City Council. The request for reconsideration has not shown good cause to reconsider the decision of the Boise City Council on June 15th. And we're recommending that the City Council deny the request for reconsideration. So thank you for that opportunity to explain what's before you and the process that's gone on this year.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I take it that I understand the staff's memo and it makes sense. I guess my question is, did the party requesting reconsideration take the position or observe that they didn't know this was going on? Or is it merely that they knew it was going on, but they're pointing out some technical problems with what they think we did?
Well, I think the nature of the request for reconsideration has to do with their belief that this was a site-specific rezoning. So it's characterizing what actions the city took differently than what we're saying it actually was under state code.
I just want to, I guess my question is part of the issue before us that we have a party coming and saying, hey, this changes my property and I had no idea?
No, I think the person is saying that I think the action that you took is different than what you're saying it is.
Got it. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
For the reasons that were stated in the staff report, and I appreciate your thorough analysis of that, Tim, I'm going to make a motion to deny the request for reconsideration.
Second.
We have a motion and second discussion.
Madam Mayor, I don't think this is a rezone. This is repealing the entire code provision that provides for the zoning code and enacting a new one. So you don't follow the provisions in the old code to repeal the old code. You follow the provisions for creating and appealing or creating or repealing a code. And the memo is pretty clear that we did that.
All right. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Whittings,
Yes.
Agent,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Willetts.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the consent agenda. All items with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the council and will be enacted by one motion. There's no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Clerk?
Whittings,
Yes.
Agent,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Willetts.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
We now have ordinances on first reading.
Madam Mayor, I ask unanimous consent that all ordinances on first reading be read by number and title only and filed for the second reading calendar.
Without objection. Without objection.
ORD 28-23, an ordinance amending Title IX, Chapter 2 of Boise City Code. This amendment updates the development impact fees per service unit and related schedule of development impact fees and providing an effective date of October 1, 2023.
Well, that was a short one. All right, now we're headed to third reading.
Madam Mayor, I move that further reading of ORD 27-23 be dispensed with and the record reflect it's been read the third time in full.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Clerk?
Whittings,
Yes.
Agent, Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Willetts.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries. ORD 27-23, an ordinance ZOA 23-00001, repealing and replacing Title 11 Development Code, Boise City Code, establishing and converting zoning districts and overlays in accordance with the policies set forth in the adopted comprehensive plan, establishing use regulations, development and design standards, subdivision standards, administration processes and application procedures, provisions for enforcement and penalty, and definitions, providing for specific adopted plans, repealing all ordinances or parts thereof to the extent they conflict with passage and enaction of this ordinance, providing for severability if any part is adjudged invalid or unconstitutional, approving a summary of the ordinance, and providing an effective date.
Madam Mayor, I move that ORD 27-23 be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
This truly does feel like Hollywooding's Day right now, because I remember a couple of years ago when I was running for a second term to this position, and I talked about the zoning code rewrite ad nauseum in every candidate forum, every time I was interviewed by the newspaper, anytime I was talking to other candidates for city council, I was telling them all about how this was the single most important thing, how this is why I was running for city council again, over and over and over again. And here we are. It's my last city council meeting. We have third reading of our new, beautiful, shiny, modern zoning code that so many members of the Boise community provided input, poured over pages and pages of documentation, and were really thoughtful and careful in the ways that they engaged with our wonderful staff to make the product that we are approving today. I'm just thrilled. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I don't have a lot of additional comments. I just want to say thank you for staff. Thank you for being here tonight, seeing it all the way through from beginning to end. The work is so appreciated, every single ounce of it. And I'm glad that it's something that we can all support up here. Thanks for all the incredible work.
All right. And with that, clerk, will you call the roll?
Whittings,
Yes.
Bajent,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Willetts.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. And now we'll move into public hearings. First off, we have SOS 23-13, Leap Charities.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council.
Welcome, Matt. Is this your first time to present?
Madam Mayor, it's not.
No,
It's
okay.
about 3 or 4.
Okay, sorry about that.
The item before you is a request for the vacation of a plat note and a partial vacation of an easement that are associated with the CARITAS Common Subdivision. The subject properties are located at 8125 and 8126 North Leap Avenue on a total of 0.176 acres in an R2D/DA, which is a medium density residential with design review, overlay, and development agreement zone. The surrounding properties are zoned R1C, single family residential, and are comprised predominantly of detached single family housing. The subdivision was recorded in 2020 with the subject plat note and easement that established a 10-foot wide easement adjacent to all rear lot lines and the subdivision boundary for public utility, for public and private utilities, pressure irrigation, and drainage. The applicant wishes to vacate plat note number 6 and vacate the northern 7 feet of the 10-foot wide easement as identified here in red as identified in white, in order to install the carports on the 2 southernmost lots of Leap Avenue that would be accessed from Kate Street. The proposed carports will be required to conform with the dimensional standards of the Clear Vision Triangle. Letters of relinquishment were received from the appropriate agencies granting the approval to vacate the identified easement and plat note. The vacation would only apply to the 2 subject lots. In conclusion, the planning team recommends approval of the requested vacation, and I can stand for any questions you may have.
Any questions for Matt? All right, thank you. And we have the applicant here. If you're in agreement with terms and conditions of the staff report, you're welcome to tell us that, or you're welcome to present.
Yes, I am in agreement and that there's actually no utilities whatsoever under that portion of the easement. So that is one of the reasons that every utility company agreed to vacate that portion.
Great. Well, and I'd just like to say thank you for what you're seeking to do here. Really appreciate this development as well as the mission of Leap Charities. With that, I want to see, is anybody here to testify on this? All right, we will go ahead and close the public hearing.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve SOS 23-13, Leap Charities, Boise City vacation of plat note and public utilities easement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Whittings,
Yes.
Bajent,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney Keith,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Willetts,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Great. Now we'll move on to SOS 2317. Got David and then Kent Brown. Welcome back. Good to see you. Do we have anybody here to testify on this one? Anyone online? Okay.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, members of the council. The applicant is requesting a vacation of a public utilities drainage easement along the interior rear property lines between lots 3 and 4, block 3, associated with the suburban land tracts unit number 1 subdivision. The plat notes identifying building setbacks and lot coverage restrictions are also requested to be vacated. The subject property is approximately 10 acres in size and comprised of 2 lots located at 2543 South Beverly Street and 2560 South Cole within an industrial or M1D light industrial design review zone. And as you can see here from the aerial photograph, the site is located within an industrial area. In 1972, the City Council approved the Suburban Land Tracts Unit Number 1 subdivision with a platted 10-foot wide public utilities and drainage easement along the interior property lines. In addition, the subdivision included building setbacks and lot coverage restrictions as plat notes. The applicant intends to consolidate lots 3 and 4, block 3 of the subdivision to develop it with an industrial use that would be situated over the top of this easement located between the lots and will also exceed the setbacks and lot coverage restrictions noted on the plat. As such, the easement and plat notes are requested to be vacated in order to develop the site. The lot coverage requirements were included on the original plat since the site was located in the Airport H zone, which is an airport noise transition zone that was intended to restrict non-compatible uses from around the airport. However, stating these restrictions and building setbacks as a plat note is not required since these standards can change over time. Furthermore, the Boise Airport submitted a letter of support for the vacation of these plat notes. In summary, the letters of relinquishment from all utility companies servicing the vicinity and the Boise Airport have been received. And these are the easement locations and plat notes identified to be vacated on this slide. In conclusion, the planning team recommends approval of the plat note and easement vacation. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, welcome.
Kent Brown for the record. I'm in agreement with that. I just wanted to kind of maybe educate a little bit.
Sure.
I've been doing this. In fact, I started at the city of Boise on April Fool's Day in 1989. Worked for 9 years for the city and kind of learned the rules, and have been on the private side for many years since. This is one of the hardest things I have to do, is vacate easements. And the reason is that the easement holders are reluctant, or they take time. When I do a CenturyLink one, for example, it used to be that I would submit it here locally. It would go to Denver. Denver would send it to Seattle. Seattle would send it back to Denver. Denver would then send it to Phoenix. And then they would sign it, and then I get it. I've seen them take as long as 6 months to do something like that. As a standard rule, Idaho Power does these in 60 to 90 days. What my attitude has kind of changed over the years, and the fact that we're writing a blank check for something to go in. When this was done in 1972, the easements used to be put in the back of the yards. Today, joint trench is in the front, and all the utilities are in the front, and anything that goes to the house is considered a service line, does not require an easement. If they want to go in between lots, that's a part of the plan, and they can they can call those out. What ends up happening is when someone builds the house, the builder might be off just a little bit, and then we have to vacate a portion of the easement, maybe move the lot line. It just becomes kind of tedious. Some of the cities have gone away from requiring side lot line easements. I would encourage the city of Boise to look at that from a procedure standpoint, is that if the utility companies aren't specifically asking for it, developers aren't opposed to giving them the easement. They have the transformer box, and again, they sit in the front, give them the space around that they want, but the side lot lines become kind of tedious. Notes are another thing. Prime example I have is up next to the train depot. There's a note in there from the early 1900s that talks about the race of a person that can live in those houses. Obviously, no one's enforced that, but those notes, when you ask for a note, and I've been in hearings here, and someone says, I want them to put a note on the plat that this lot line is going to have a 6-foot fence. We're looking at a document that is lasting. They go to all this stuff to make sure that it's not changing. And so when you put notes, be mindful that this is lasting forever, and just kind of think about that. I appreciate your time and allowing me, as an older person that's done this for some time, explain the process to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ken, I appreciate the feedback. That'll be noted. We've got planning staff here that heard it as well. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, same comment. We hear so much about what's going wrong. It's just thank you for providing 2 really concrete proposals to fix it. I appreciate that.
All right. And with that, I'll confirm that nobody has arrived to testify on this and close the hearing.
Madam Mayor, I move that SOS 23-17 Kent Brown Planning, Boise City Vacation of Plat Note and Public Utilities Easement be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk?
Whittings,
Yes.
Bajent,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
Ash,
Yes.
Willetts.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Madam Mayor, I would just like to note that Mr. Brown has a very cool shirt.
All right. And last up, Crystal Rain, welcome back. SOS 23-18. And you're Jenna? Yes. Great. All right.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this item before you is a request to partially vacate a parking lot easement depicted on and described in a plat note of the Shelley's Plaza subdivision addressed at 10009 West McMillan Road. A request to modify 5 additional plat notes to reflect the change in entitlement is also included. The subdivision depicts and describes a parking lot easement as seen here on the screen. Additionally, several other plat notes denoted by stars reference the original setbacks, development agreement, and easement numbers associated with the initial planned office park. However, the park never came to fruition, and a residential infill project has since been approved, which plans to utilize the existing infrastructure and previously constructed improvements. As such, the applicant requests to vacate and replace that easement with a blanket common area easement for the purposes of serving the recently approved housing infill project, Darlington Place. The modified plat notes would properly reference the approved setbacks, modified DA, and new easement instrument numbers. So as described in the project memo, the planning team finds the proposed vacation of plat notes and easement to be necessary and successfully facilitating the approved residential development. Thanks, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Crystal?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I would just remind council that we need to make this take about a half an hour in order for this to meet with our 7:30 timeline at the.
Madam
I'm
Mayor,
sure we can
always
find plenty of
so-
things to do for the next 40 minutes.
You're in luck. No, I'm just joking, Crystal. Yeah, no questions.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Jenna Nash with Innovative Housing Solutions. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. I will second what Scott Brown had to say and say that getting agreement from easement holders is an animal. It's It's been a very good education for me to get this through. So this is exciting to get this approved.
Thank you. Want to confirm that nobody's here on this topic? All right, I'll close the hearing.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that SOS 23-18 Innovative Housing Solutions, a Boise City Vacation of Plat Note and Public Utilities Easement be approved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Clerk?
Whittings,
Yes.
Bajent,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Willetts,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
All right. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, my very last motion as a member of City Council is that we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Lucy.
Bye, Lucy.